So Troy's going to be with you for about another month or so, and that's it.
I was cheering for the guy that won. You know, being Tennessee.
Welcome to the Goatee Sports Page. Coming to you live from the Blue Tick Tavern in Maryville at 105.1 FM. Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Bringing you the best in local sports since 1978. Featuring the Greenfield Gunner, Mike Edwards. Former Maryville Scot, Donnie Moore. Former UT coach, Ray Trail. From the Daily Times, Marcus Fitzsimmons. And Troy Provo Heron.
Hello, everybody, and greetings from the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. I'm Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, along with Donnie Moore, Troy Provo Heron, Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Coach Ray Trail, and this is the Goatees Sports Page. Tennessean Joseph Newgarden wins the 107th Indianapolis 500, and we're going till the whistle blows. And now let's set today's lineup card, sponsored by Blunt Partnership. It's the University of Tennessee Sports Report, sponsored by the Cherokee Group and the Klein Dental Arts SEC Notebook, with volunteer football coaching legend Ray Trail, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons. Today we'll talk some UT baseball and softball and discuss what's going on at the SEC spring meetings. Carson Newman assistant football coach Tony Iruli will join the Goatee Sports Page crew. Donnie Moore will announce high school scores from around the area and then mark it down with Marcus Fitzsimmons, sponsored by Mandy B. Street Realty, will be on the agenda. Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron presents the Anderson Lumber Company High School Player of the Week segment. Troy is out this week. I assume he's covering the games over in Clemson, baseball games, so we'll sit in as a panel for him today. Donnie Moore and the group discuss sports headlines from around the country before the Tennessee Smoky Spotlight shines on the 107th running of the Indianapolis 500. And finally, the panel gives their shelter insurance bowl predictions for the week. And now it's time for the UT Sports Report, sponsored by the Cherokee Group and the Klein Dental Arts SEC Notebook. So let's bring in former UT assistant football coach Ray Trail, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron, and Marcus Fitzsimmons, veteran sports writer. Carson Newman assistant football coach Tony Iruli is back with us. Guys, it was announced this past week that Tennessee basketball guard Josiah Jordan James will return for a fifth season with the Vols. He averaged 10 points a game last year, playing in 24 games. Marcus, good news for Tennessee basketball here.
Yeah, right. Maybe it is. I mean, yes, you want him back. I guess if he's willing to come back and give you everything, then that's a good thing. Last year was not a good season because it was every game, is he hurt, is he not, and it was kind of off and on, and they never really settled down. And maybe some of their offensive struggles resulted from that inability to know what they were going to be doing with him. But if he's back and he's healthy and he's wants to go, invest to make that kind of investment with the team, then it could be a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, did that cost him a scholarship?
No, because he's using his COVID year.
Yeah, but they don't have enough scholarships right now for him. So that was my
true.
question I was going to raise this morning. What do you do? What do you do if you don't have a scholarship? He's going to probably come in as a walk-on. Does that mean he's going to have to get funds for payment for a scholarship somewhere else, you assume?
I would assume the NIL collective can help him out.
Yeah, I would say you're right.
I don't think
I would
you have
make
to worry
that
about
assumption.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. As far as Josiah James goes, Coach Trail, he was hampered last year by injuries, and I don't know how you all see it, but I think to this point in his career, I'm willing to say that he's been a disappointment. I know that he probably, maybe that's one of the reasons he's coming back. I don't know. Of course, he went through the pro tryouts or whatever they do to see he felt all that out if he was maybe had a chance there. But maybe he's got a little unfinished business here. But I think he's had kind of a subpar career here. Huh?
That's what I was hinting at is why would you want him back? You know, I mean, he's going to take it away from some younger guy that you should be coaching more and have to fool with him. I mean, you've had 4 years to do something, and you hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
So why would you take up time? Well, why would he? I don't know. To me, I think he needs to go on his way.
Well, you know, they really weren't counting on him because they went out and got those kids from the transfer portal. They got 4 kids there, and Vescovy came back.
And sometimes some of those old hands like that can hurt you.
Yeah.
Well, they just kind of linger around.
Yeah,
and you're never. They're halfway in, halfway out.
Yeah, that's what
That's
I'm
what I'm
saying.
saying. If
It
he's
kinda
invested,
hurts you.
then it's a good thing. But if he's just coming around to hang out and see what he's going to do, that's something different.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, you know, sometimes I'd rather get my whole new group in and work with them than have one stray guy that oh yeah, I know about all that.
But
I know all
well,
that.
you know,
But,
for a
you
guy
know,
that came in with 5, he was a 5-star when he came in, and he's averaging
what moon was he close to?
9 points, 10 points a game.
Because he
4
sure
years.
hadn't been
shooting
a
in the 30s.
star.
But what he does for Tennessee, he does what Rick Barnes wants him to do. He plays really good defense.
I guess.
And he's, you know, he just is, you know, he's a pretty good sized guy.
That's
he's
why he's there.
consistent, and then he works in the system. And the way I see it is, you know, it just gives them a little bit more depth next year. I don't know whether he'll be an impact player or not. If his career has any indication, he won't be an impact player. He'll just be another player that'll come off the bench that'll give you a little bit more depth.
Yeah, and Coach Barnes knows what he has, and you're exactly right. He's sort of been a system player, and you know he'll play some good defense.
Mm-hmm.
He'll get you about 10 points a game. You know he's not going to be a game changer in most of the games he competes in, and so you know I think Barnes is just looking for a little bit more depth and experience.
I think this has been a long spring for Tennessee basketball in their roster. You know, getting the transfer portal kids, wondering who's going to come back, who's not going to come back. And, you know, they've lost some kids, you know, in the process. But they look like they've got a pretty good roster going into next year. So,
well, that's really the nature of college sports right now.
Yeah.
I mean, what really hurts is the recruitment of freshman players.
Yeah.
I mean, because you got all these guys transferring in and out from other colleges and such and all that, and so you know it's just a whole different world in terms of recruiting nowadays.
Yeah. Well, let's switch over to softball and baseball. UT Donnie Moore, they've got 2 teams in the NCAA tournament, and both of them look like they've got a strong shot. Of course, the Lady Vols are in the World Series out there in Oklahoma City, and the men's team is over in Clemson.
Right.
Both of them's got huge games coming up. The softball girls will be playing Oklahoma. The powerhouse. I think they've won 5 national championships in the last 9 years. And then Clemson, one of the hottest teams on the men's side. The men have got them, I guess, coming up here
Tonight,
6
So
o'clock.
both of them play
6
today.
o'clock.
But the Lady Vols softball team, they got where they're at in the winners bracket by beating Alabama 10-5 on Thursday. And, of course, they sent the Crimson Tide to the elimination bracket. And the Lady Vols will play today at 3 p.m., and that can be seen on ABC. That's a major deal right there.
Lady Vols are playing well right now, but, you know, they've got a tough road to hoe against Oklahoma. Oklahoma, without question, are the toughest, the biggest name in women's softball.
But I'll tell you what, 2 of our players came from Oklahoma.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And they've won
that's because they knew they weren't going to play much out there.
Well, I'll tell you what,
they've won
right.
48, 49 games in a row now.
Yes.
But those
49 in a row.
Those 2 players are our key players.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I watched most of the game with Oklahoma because I was interested to see what they got because they were talking about how great their program is out there and everything. But I'll tell you, Stanford gave them all they wanted. You know,
they did
2-0.
Yep.
And they had to work to get them 2 runs. I think the 2 runs were scored with 2 outs.
Yep.
In that inning, and they got a hit right there that brought 2 of them in, and that's about all they had all day long.
All they got.
So
Tennessee's got a good program, and they will give Oklahoma, like you said, all they want today.
And Oklahoma's basically playing a home game, Marcus, out there at Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City with
Yeah, it is, and you know Tennessee's been there, had some adventures out there, and I mean, we're in double elimination format, so it doesn't. If they, no matter what happens today, you're still got
in
2 tough games just to try to get to where you want to be.
Of course, you'd really like to be in the driver's seat and go 2-0 right there, and and know that you got 2 games to burn rather than 1 if you get beat.
I mean,
but
you don't want to be out. I mean, Alabama last night. I mean, you had to feel for them, but they first round they get Tennessee. You get Tennessee the first round, and then you get Stanford the second game, and you get just a knockout performance, but you can't hit the ball, and you lose 2-0.
Yeah. Who's got the most pressure on them today, Tony? The Lady Vols or Oklahoma? Oklahoma's, you win 49 in a row, and you're trying to win another championship. There's got to be a little bit of pressure there.
Sure. Well, I think that it's going to be obviously what happens is going to be an outstanding game. I think Oklahoma, plays with so much confidence. It doesn't matter who's on the other side of the diamond. They have the confidence that they're going to beat them, and so pressure I think is obviously going to be on Tennessee. And if they play well, say it ends up being a tie game, even if they may lose, they're still going to have confidence going into the loser bracket.
Yeah. UT's baseball team yesterday opened regional play by defeating Charlotte 8-1, and the Vols jumped out front 8-0 and never looked back. Tennessee improved their record to 39-19. Donnie, good start for them. It's always great to win that first one, but they've been real successful winning first games in region.
They have.
Play
You're
the
right.
last several years.
They have.
Wasn't really a surprise.
No, it wasn't much of a surprise. The Vols played well. I watched that game last night for most of it, and the Vols did play well. They hit the ball pretty well in spurts anyway.
That one home run that player hit. Something. I mean, he knocked it right out of the stadium.
He sure did.
I mean, just crushed it.
Hit the upper deck there in left field.
Yeah, I mean, he crushed it. And the starting pitcher for Tennessee transferred from Charlotte.
Yeah.
And he obviously pitched very well, won about 7-8 innings.
But Coach Trail, that's kind of been the story of this Tennessee team. At times they can score a lot of runs.
Yeah.
And at times they can get a lot of good pitching, and then there's times where they don't get very many runs and they don't get very much pitching.
Yeah.
But
it kind of coincides with each other.
Yesterday it came together. They got
Yeah.
good pitching and they got
Well,
they got the runs.
that team they played to me was not on the par that you're going to get later on.
No,
I'll
well,
tell
they
you
weren't
that.
an SEC team. They won their conference, of course.
Yeah,
but
But there were a lot of those
there's
yesterday.
teams in the league I've never heard of. I mean, there's names on there that I've never heard of. So that tells me that who won 13-2 beat Oklahoma yesterday.
I don't know.
Beat Oklahoma?
Yeah, the men, boys,
Yeah.
it beat them 13-2.
I don't know.
I never heard of them. I mean, I thought it was a joke to start with. I mean, they just jumped on them and they didn't let that heat off of him.
Wasn't Arkansas, was it?
No.
Hey, I think Charlotte missed their chance in the first inning when they loaded the bases and they didn't get a homer right there.
Yeah.
Go up 4-0.
Yeah.
They came away with nothing with the bases loaded, and
Yeah.
Marcus, it never got any better for them, really.
And it was a big at bat, but it was a huge strikeout there.
Oh, yeah.
That pretty much set the day for Lindsey, and it definitely set the tone for what was going to happen with frustration for them, because Tennessee looked rejected when they finally gave up a solo home run. It was the 7th or 8th inning. They were going for the shutout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were, and in that small little ballpark that they're playing in at Clemson, I mean, it's about the same size as Lindsey Nelson.
A couple of weeks ago, Troy was here, and we were talking about how important it was for Tennessee to get the home field advantage, in the region. And he said, well, they got a lock. They're not going to pick Indiana State. They don't play as good at games. And, well, the Sycamores are playing at home, and they won yesterday. And Tennessee's on the road. Now, my question, you all jump in here.
See, first of all, we got fired up because it's Indiana
well,
team.
no, not really. But
Wait,
Troy
Notre Dame's
Troy
coming,
was so
just wait.
sure that
he
was so sure that they weren't going to even consider Indiana State, that tennis between them, Tennessee was going to be a lot because they played in a stronger league and tougher teams and so forth and so on. But here's my question. Last year there were some problems over here in region play. They've got on the umpires a little bit on some of the calls. There were some things thrown out on the field, and there's some player antics that went on there that I just wonder if you think all that came into play a little bit when it got down to choosing who hosted this year or not, Coach Trail?
I don't think so. I just think that Tennessee has been so up and down, and
they lost the first game over in the SEC tournament.
And that to me, that's what knocked them out, that game, and the way things are right now in this country, you can get away with anything.
Pretty much.
It almost,
nobody holds a grudge.
And that's just the way it is.
It looked more like basketball where, you wondered if the tournament really counted. Because it didn't look like Texas A&M really got rewarded for the run they put in the SEC tournament.
That's right.
I mean, yes, the SEC got rewarded because we have half the regional sites are in the SEC, and you've got 10 teams in
Got
playing.
10 in, yeah.
So, the conference got
8 of
rewarded.
them hosting.
But it doesn't look like, in A&M's case, like they got a reward for what they did in the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like Tennessee, I don't think they were punished for that loss, but I don't think it really factored into where they got it. It looked like we were predicting a month before the season ended, like they quit keeping count.
Yeah. The Vols play Clemson tonight at 6 o'clock. I believe that game is on ESPN. And Donnie Moore, there may not be a hotter team in the country than Clemson right now. They're streaking.
There may not be a hotter ticket in the country.
That's right.
They got 16-game winning streak going, and their record's 45-17. I think they won the ACC championship and the tournament.
They did,
which was kind of what Tennessee
and
did last year.
At Clemson.
They're playing at Clemson, so there's not going
to. They were selling individual tickets for $500.
$500.
That's what I think there were more than that on the ticket
Even more.
exchange yesterday.
They're on fire.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, Donnie. Do you expect a high? They score a lot of runs. They're averaging 8.9 runs a game in this winning streak that they're on right now, Clemson.
Uh-huh.
You expect a high-scoring game today with Tennessee, or do you expect it more of a pitcher's game? Huh?
I expect it to be more of a pitcher's duel. I don't expect either team to score a lot of runs because they're in the NCAA tournament.
Well. You could.
It is a small park.
You could
I'll
see
give
it
you
with
that.
With that park, you could see it, but you've also got 2 really good pitchers
Yes,
going
you do.
today. Now, that said, we've seen really good pitchers have bad days and have turned into slugfest out there.
That's true. But the bullpens for both teams are good, too. They're strong.
And neither one got really tested. They did what they were supposed to do yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They saved a lot of innings. So,
And what's made it good for Clemson is that they had a coaching change before the season, and so a new coach came in, and basically he's winning with mostly the same players that there was from the previous staff.
You just came from over there.
Yeah.
Any talk over there about a little revenge from Tennessee beating Clemson in the Orange Bowl, and now they've got them at home in baseball? Is there any talk going on over there about that?
I've heard a little muffling from my son-in-law and relatives that are going to the game.
Is this Orange Bowl 2? Because
this is a little bit of redemption right there and all that.
Yeah.
But it was kind of neat going over there. I worked at the Clemson football camp, and going to my car yesterday, seeing on Thursday, seeing the vans from Tennessee and all that. Wearing my Clemson shirt, so at least the orange kind of match up.
Maybe it's just me, but there just seems over the last few years a lot more enthusiasm. Maybe it's because Tennessee's done real well in baseball, but I just think the enthusiasm in college baseball and college softball, so to speak, Coach Trail, the interest has really gone up.
Well,
across the board.
I think it's used to be baseball was kind of something people did in the spring there, waiting on football.
Yeah.
It was just kind of a
Fill
filled
in.
over, fill in. Yeah. But now it's, my gosh, the TV and everything has brought it to the front. And they got sellout crowds.
Yeah, I agree with you. It used to be almost like
exposure.
it's almost like a recess. But now Tennessee sports in the spring has been
Yeah.
outstanding. Softball, baseball, track, the other
Tennis.
sports, golf, tennis. I mean, it's really turned into
But
a full program.
For what you said, Mike, there's two things going on. One, you got the TV deals that are expanding the coverage.
Exactly, sure.
But number two, don't forget, minor league baseball was hugely contracted. The number of minor league teams that are out there is a lot smaller than it was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You had a lot of leagues that were closed up. You had a lot of franchises that were closed up. Some of those that are still there are like 6-week rookie league type deals now. So your pathway where you were in high school and you were looking at it of, oh, I can sign a contract and work my way through, or I can go to college. Given that there's a lot less opportunity to play major league-wise, and you can get NIL money now in college, I think you've got a better quality of players. You've got more players coming in playing college ball than you did.
Yeah.
So you're saying the pathway is a lot better now in college than it was before?
Well, but let's say 4 years ago,
COVID.
if you got a baseball scholarship, you got a third of your costs covered because you weren't getting a full deal. You were getting a partial because they've only got 11.7 to use for 50 guys. So if you get a third or a quarter, you're doing well. So you're not getting all your school costs covered for, and you're looking at that versus I'm going to go over here and I'm going to play for the Dodgers single A franchise and make some money, not a lot, but make some money and try to play my way in. Well, now you can make more money with the NIL and you can get a minor league contract.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now you can go to the beach and play for the Savannah Bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see where they're playing. Where are they playing? They're playing somewhere in Tennessee, aren't
Are
they?
they?
I
I'd
think
like to
this
go see
week.
them play.
I can't. I don't
The
know.
Bananas?
If it's,
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were trying to explain all the rule changes with the with the. They kind of rewrite the rules, don't they?
They
when
do, man.
When they play, but
they put on a show.
Yeah, they draw a lot of people.
They sure
Draw a
do.
lot of
If they
people,
come to Tennessee, let me know. I'm going to take Ray to it and get him a bunch of bananas. We'll go there and watch the game.
Yeah.
We can dress him up like they dress up. They dress up like bananas.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Man, they put on a show.
He's
That's
holding
how
back right now.
we naturally see Ray. He
Dang.
walks in, we're like, banana.
The head banana. The head banana. Hey, a lot of people at that game yesterday. Stanford and Oklahoma packed.
Yeah, Lord, yeah.
Packed
I
out
tell
there.
you what, it was wall to wall people. They were, but I mean, that to me is what's making the programs come along, and used to, the baseball field was just a second thought. I would just,
You get 100,
yeah,
200 people and come watch a game.
But now, I mean, you're playing in stadiums that are ultra nice.
Some of these college
and-
baseball
yeah.
parks are really nice.
That's what I'm saying. But they used to be, it was just kind of like a little stand
Oh,
here
yeah.
and there. That was it.
And like Marcus said, that TV money rolling in,
Oh,
that
yeah.
don't hurt them one bit.
Oh no. And they've done good putting it into the program.
Absolutely.
A lot of schools just would not put money into baseball because it just didn't draw anything. It didn't
Right.
make any
It's not
money. They
just-
thought it was a dead fish.
And the stadiums were just nothing but aluminum bleachers or stands, or
And
whatever you want to call them.
but it's not just the fan experience. I mean, you're seeing some serious money put into what the players' experience is. It's putting it on par with the kind of facilities you have in football for
Yes.
training and locker rooms and that sort of thing.
Well, that's what I was
Those
saying.
Matter now.
That's what it is. I
That's-
mean,
that
they've
stuff
took the
matters
thing
now.
and just brought
It
it,
does
up.
matter.
I mean, you're not walking across the street to use the old Armory bench for a locker room on the fly. I mean, they've got facilities now.
What you're really trying to say is we got professional sports going on here
That's
right
right.
now
That's
in
right.
all areas, not just football. We got it going on
Well,
in all.
did we think it was anything
men and
else?
women.
Yep.
Right.
Once in top tier of Division One, did we really think it was going to be anything else but minor league sports at this point? It's professional.
It is.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about the spring meeting down in Destin, Florida. And I know, Donnie, we're not going to have enough time, but we got some
Well,
time.
I've got that in the headlines, too, so.
We'll come back to it. We'll come
There's
back
so much
to
to
it.
cover out of
Yeah,
spring
but-
meetings. We might as well just give it a full second.
Yeah, we will. We got time today to do that. But let's start off with the main deal down there. In my opinion, one of the main deals was in 2024. whether to go to 8 or 9 games on the schedule, and they elected to stay with the 8
They
games.
did. You're right.
And
We talked about that last
three of
week
those
a
games
little
are
bit.
going to be drag games, and then you've got to have one game, according to this new deal. You have to play a team from the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12, or a major independent.
Yep.
One of those games has to be. Now, the other 3 can be, from whoever you want to schedule, I guess, so to speak. But anyhow, there was a lot of push for 9 games from a fan standpoint. I would have rather seen the 9 games and gone ahead and started it. But money came into play. ESPN, they got the deal. Well, the SEC was going to put out there, well, if we go to 9 games, we want $5 million for each school for that extra game. Well, that's a lot of money for ESPN, and they didn't think they could cut that deal in this short a time. Now, they're going to come back in 2024 and look at the future after that. They seem to think that they're eventually going to go to 9 games, but they're not going to do it in 2024.
Well, it's going to play one more year like this.
Yeah.
It's just got 1 year.
I mentioned last week, Mike, who was a big opponent of the 9-game season?
Saban.
Nick Saban.
Yeah, he was initially for it.
He was.
And then he turned around and
he
said,
turned around and he said, you
Well,
know why?
He took a look and saw, who were the 3 teams that he would be locked into play.
That's right.
Yeah.
One of them was Tennessee.
Tennessee,
Auburn, and LSU.
LSU.
Those were his 3 lock-ins of permanent opponents. And he said, well, I don't think I want to do that.
Everyone's trying to get Vanderbilt to be in there, but
He didn't mind until after this season.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
think there's and do you wonder when it comes to him, is he looking at it not as in what's going to be best for Alabama in the long run, but he's not going to be on the sideline forever.
No, he's not.
And if you're going to if he's looking at it in a 5-year term, like, next 5 years, that's who I'm going to have to play the last 3 or 4 years I'm coaching. Well, maybe that influences what you think about it now.
That's true.
The way I understand it, if they stay with 8 games with Texas and Oklahoma coming in, they would go to one permanent opponent for everybody, and then rotate among 7.
Rotate the others.
Well, if they do that, Alabama's permanent opponent would be Auburn.
Auburn, right.
Tennessee's permanent opponent would be Vanderbilt. Now, how about them apples? If that happens, you're going to be looking at a 12-game schedule, and you're going to have Vanderbilt on there every year, plus those 3 drag teams, and maybe one outside opponent.
Yeah.
Short road trip.
That's a
Or
good deal.
3.
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
But and you think about this, you don't know how they're going to divide. Who you're going to get, because you're not going to have divisions anymore. So you've got those 7 rotating ones. Well, maybe it's only going to last 2 years. So depending how much they thought they put into it, I mean, if you get into it and you get at that first year and you don't get Alabama and Georgia, if you slip them until the next season, your path gets a whole lot easier.
Yep.
June the 14th, that's coming up. This is going to be on the SEC network, and they're going to release the schedules for 2024. I'll tell you right now, there's going to be some people watching that deal. That's June the 14th. They're going to release those schedules for 2024. So we're going to see how that plays out.
Kudos for making a deal out of it, because hey.
Yeah. So
everybody's interested.
So what did they decide? Did they decide divisions or just everyone?
No, everybody's in one league.
One league.
That's been decided.
Divisions.
There's not going to be any
One league,
division.
8 games for the first year.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back to it. We got plenty of time today. It's time to turn the page, and next up is the local scoreboard featuring Blount County Sports Hall of Famer Donnie Moore and Mark It Down featuring Marcus Fitzsimmons. You're listening to the Goatee Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Hit a grand slam with Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union to win big on savings. On first, member managed funds account. On second, free spend account. On third, certificate accounts with competitive savings rates.
Load your bases at tvacreditunion.com.
Join us now
Federally insured by NCUA. Must use e-statements for no fee option. Some restrictions may apply. Ask for details.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. Wow. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply.
The Bluetick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Bluetick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Bluetick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew, and now it's time for the local scoreboard. Donnie Moore, I don't know. Not many local teams are playing, buddy. We're calling it the local scoreboard because that's what it is. But
that's the name of the segment anyway. But you know, we don't have any scores for you. Now, local school systems have finished up and dismissed students for the summer break, as the Goatee Sports page is about to do as well. So we have no high school games to report on today in the Mandy B. Street local scoreboard. We do, however, have a couple of young ladies we would like to congratulate for signing to continue their academic and athletic careers at the collegiate level. They are Stella Shiver from Maryville High School, who has signed with Troy University. No, not named after our Troy, who is AWOL today. She is signed to continue her academic and athletic career in cheerleading, and we want to congratulate her.
She was our cheerleader of the year.
I think you're right.
And
in the Goatee Sports Awards,
Tyler Wombles had a good story interview with her at the signing.
It really was,
and she actually mentioned the show. She listed winning the award, kind of what she said to us, that it was one of her favorite moments in high school because we were recognizing cheerleading as a sport.
Good deal. Congratulations to Stella. And Ashley Blair, also from Maryville High School, who has signed, also an award winner,
yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
I believe we had them back to back. I wish we could have had them in here today. They were both great interviews.
They were. They really were. She is signed with the University of Kentucky to continue her academic and athletic career as a member of their dance team up at Kentucky. So congratulations. I think we gave her a hard time about going to Kentucky, didn't we?
We gave her a
Marcus?
little bit of a hard time. But she's a I don't know how you want to say tough, but she is. I mean, she went and got involved with this and saw both of them to a degree knew what they wanted competitively what they wanted those teams to do, and pushed the school and the other people on the team to get there where they're competing for the state championship, where they're going to these competitions, and that's not something that every cheer team or dance team does. Some of them just go out to have some fun. They took this seriously, and they're pushing Maryville squads to compete at a very high level.
I tell you, with me going through it with my granddaughters, I mean, it's serious competition.
It sure
between
is.
these dance competition and cheerleading competitions. I mean, there was one in Knoxville about a month ago. Well, heck, they had about 100 different teams from all across the country, down there and all that. So
that's serious competition.
Serious competition, and parents are spending serious money.
You better believe it.
For their daughters to be in it.
Well, our congratulations go with these young ladies as they travel both north and south from their homes here in Tennessee to further their academic and athletic careers. Well, in the very near future, when you make the drive up and down William Blount Drive past Stadium Drive, you'll see a new logo emblazoned on the rear of the massive white press box. Up until now, the Govs played their football games in Governor Stadium. Beginning this season, they will play in Barry Skipper Murrin Stadium, as authorized by the Blount County Board of Education on Thursday of this week. Murrin, an assistant football coach and science teacher at William Blount High School, passed away in 2016. As the Marvin L. Boring Gymnasium is affectionately known by the students as the Marv, I'm quite certain we'll hear the Barry Skipper Murrin Stadium affectionately referred to as the Skip.
Maybe. We'll see what they do.
I'm sure Robbie Lotz will call it that anyway. I see on his broadcasts.
Now, I assume.
Barry's a good name, too. I mean,
It is. But everybody called him Skipper or Skip.
Yeah. And let's not forget, it's Mike White Field.
It is.
So there are some combinations that
but
available there with those names.
I can just hear Robbie Lotz now saying, "Welcome to the Skip." And I'm sure the students will call it that.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will come
That's
up with
a good
something.
name for it.
If they win, it will be Skip.
You're right.
If they lose, no Skip.
No, they won't be skipping anyway, will they? But that's well deserved, and Skip Murrin did so much for that school and for that program. He was a tireless worker.
I mean, coached for about 30 years over there. I mean, just
well, not at William Blount, but he
coached
came in
Lanier.
1996.
Coached at Lanier,
but he coached at Lanier.
That's right.
Yeah, he was an assistant coach at Lanier, and then was
Alcoa
a
High
head
School.
coach. Went to Alcoa High School. We should get Hodson sometime to talk about Skip.
well,
He could tell you Skip stories.
Yeah, we'll get
I could
him
tell
in
you
there.
Skip stories.
My favorite.
I was AD over there.
My favorite Skip Murrin story was every year we'd start school year and they'd bring in some high fluid speaker.
Yeah.
And you'd sit there, and every one of those speakers, every year, it never fails. It wouldn't be the same one, it'd be a different one every year. And they would get up there and they go, "How many of you teachers out there believe that kids can't learn?" And Skip would always raise his hand and go, "Can't modify zero. Can't modify zero." Can't modify zero. Yeah.
Did they warn them that was coming? That's my question. Because
no, that would have messed up the fun.
That can really throw some of those speakers off their game because then you really can't modify zero.
Yeah. Did you raise your hand or not, or did you keep it down?
No, I just look forward to it every year. Him putting everybody back on their feet. Right there at the start of the school year. But yeah, it's a great thing. I assume that the stadium will be named in his behalf, his honor, and then it'll still be.
They gave him permission to do that.
Mike White Field.
It will be Mike White Field. It's already, the field has been named in honor of Mike White.
Okay.
one of the
Very
head
good.
football coaches there. But the stadium itself, they've been given permission to name it the Barry Skipper Murrin Stadium.
Is that being incorporated into the AstroTurf? Do we know?
I don't know. That's I'm sure whoever paints the field will take that to task. And you know, it's on the back of the press box. You can see it from William Blunt Drive. It says Governor Stadium, or it says Home of the Governors. So I'm sure that you'll see that emblazoned on the back of the press box.
Good.
We'll see.
Before too long.
And they're going to have a game to honor that.
Yeah,
September
the 8th, I believe, is going to be
Give Scott Cup
Skip Murray
time.
night.
Give Scott Cup time. I firmly
he's gonna
believe
come up with
before he's done, you're going to drive by there, and just like Neyland Stadium, instead of big letters that say Vols across the top like they put back on Neyland, we're going to have Govs across the top of there some way, encircling the bowls, so you can see them all the way out on 321.
Yep. It's going to be fun. He's lost his hearing over there. He's come unplugged or something.
Oh, you unplugged
All
or
right.
something?
He's good.
Yeah, Ray, we're good to go.
He good. He good.
Hello.
He good.
We can hear Ray, but I don't think he can hear us.
I'll check him out over here.
Yeah.
I think Troy has something to do with this. I think he.
Troy.
Let me get Marcus started here.
All right. Go ahead.
Ray, and
There's
I'll
no
work
hurry.
on you. Let me tell you, that's it for the Mandy B Street local scoreboard segment. You're listening to WKCE 105.1 FM and 1180 AM Mid-Century Radio, and I'm going to toss this softball over to veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons for his segment, Mark It Down.
Yeah, thanks,
Marcus?
Donnie. Fortunately, we came up a little bit short on guests this morning. But I'm real quick before I'm going to take this back over to Mike because we've got a lot more to talk about out of the SEC Media Days. We miss these two events every summer, and I just want to have people check Daily Times for them. But we'll have the Blount County Men's Amateur Golf Tournament coming up in the next couple of weeks, and I think we're just about 1 month away exactly from the start of the Smoky Mountain Classic. So that always takes place in July, and we always miss it. And
That's it, though. That's it. It
so I
comes
look
in.
forward to that for Parks and Rec. And
How many teams come in for the Smoky Mountain race? It's got to be at least.
I think I believe we're still in the 40s on that. But looking at some of the stuff from Chris Clark on Facebook, it looks like we're still going to have some of the big power internet top-level A-League major teams. But Mike, let's go ahead. Let's go back to SEC Media Days because we left that hanging, and there were some points I know you wanted to get to about it.
Yeah, they
but
brought up some good things.
Before we get off the schedule format of the 8-game schedule, I'm wondering how much of it the condition was that you have to play basically another FBS team, non-conference, was put in because they didn't want to see everybody dump those big games when they had to change their schedule for the conference.
Yeah.
So they didn't want to see everybody keep MTSU, Troy, and Austin Peay and then dump their game with Oregon or Wake Forest or whoever.
Right. Well, I think that it's going to be to their advantage to schedule Tony Iruli up for that one game. Now, if I'm the athletic director, I'm going to look for somebody that's a quality opponent because if it gets down, they're going to be taking 12 teams to the playoffs. You want to make sure your strength of schedule is going to hold up. So you better be careful on who you schedule right there.
Sure.
Non-conference.
Yeah, because, when it comes down to it, you're exactly right. Strength of schedule is a very key component in terms of the rankings and where you're going to be going. And when you have a Austin Peay where you could play a high-quality team from a different conference, that has a lot to do with it. And but at the same time, those schools, they're looking to play the larger schools, for the big payday, because a lot of times that one game against a Tennessee for Austin Peay, that's going to keep their athletic department afloat and pay their salaries and players.
There'll still be plenty of those. I'm just saying it keeps them from dumping all of those games that are already on the books.
Right.
Without a date, where you've got a contract saying you're going to do a home and away in 24 and 25 with so-and-so. But it also forces the other leagues that they're going to have to play you because you're going to come knocking, and the Big Ten's not going to be able to say, well, we don't have time for you guys to play or whatever.
As far as Tennessee's athletic program right now, I think that they've done a great job over there. The athletic director's done a great job over there with all the programs. The only thing that I have some questions about is that football opening game. I think they really need to look at a quality opponent. And I'm not so sure they're ready to do that. But when you look at this year where they could have played BYU out there, they dropped that deal, paid them off so they could play Virginia over in Nashville. I don't think that's a step that you need to be taking if you want to take your program to the next level. And I think that first game, you look at some of these first games across the SEC right now, they're playing some marquee games. Not all the teams, but a lot of them are. LSU's playing a marquee, and Alabama's played Texas the last year. They got Texas again this year early. So right now, Tennessee's football program haven't proved to me that they're willing to go out on the limb right there early and play somebody solid. It almost looks like let's schedule to where we can jump out there 3-0, 4-0, get some momentum, and then we'll make our noise, in the league. That's sort of the philosophy I'm getting. Coach Trail, what do you see?
The thing about playing a good team early is, everybody waits to see how they're going to be. If they're looking any good, I'll buy tickets. And if you put somebody up there like we're talking about early, the ticket sales come in better.
Well, obviously they're going to be more excited seeing a marquee team coming in.
I mean, if I want to go over there and watch a game, I want to watch a good game.
Right.
And so I'll just watch it on TV. On this one, and maybe I'll wait till we play Alabama to go.
Yeah. Well, you look across the country. They're just a few years ago. Notre Dame went down to Georgia.
Yeah.
Big game.
Yeah.
And a year before that, Georgia went up to Notre Dame.
That's right.
And then you got Notre Dame and Ohio State playing.
Right.
I mean, I'm just using them example, but
we played
Alabama and Texas, and so forth
we were
and so
over there
on.
And that was a big game. Gary B. Band and all
Right.
the guys out there
Right.
at UCLA.
Johnny Prothero was coaching out there.
Yeah. I mean, we opened the season with them.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, not only is it for the fans, it lets you know right up front what you got in your team. You're not kind of waiting and waiting.
I think what a lot of teams did was especially when they moved from 11 games to 12 games, they added that 12th game, and they used that first game almost like a preseason game, a warm-up game before getting into it. And that, and so therefore, instead of going and playing a high-quality team at the very first game of the season, they weren't, and that kind of knocked down the ticket sales.
I could understand one game, but we got about three to start the season with.
Well,
I disagree with that.
We're going to find out a lot about Florida early. Because they're going to Utah to play first game.
Oh yeah, the Utes are good.
Yes, sir. That's
well, Florida though beat Utah last year, didn't they?
Right there, a little controversial right there at the end.
Yeah, that was their opening game. So that's. But going to Utah is a tough place to go, especially from Florida.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the crowd control issue, the storming the field. The new deal is that each school must have security around players, coaches, and game officials before, during, and after the game. That means nobody can be on the field. There needs to be a barrier around them security-wise to get them on, to get them off. Don't know exactly how that's going to work, but that's what they're proposing that be done. Teams and officials' paths, these are visitors, to and from areas must be secured and not accessible to the public. That's in the drop-off and the return areas, I assume, to the locker rooms and wherever the officials go and get them to their vehicles to get them away from the stadium and so forth. And then, as I mentioned, security and barricade around the visiting team to get on and off the field. If the field is rushed, immediately after play, no handshakes. Now, this is on courts and fields. I'm talking about, I made it sound like it's just for football, but it's courts and fields. There's no, in basketball, they have the handshake. I've never been a big fan of that because I think there's some things that could happen in those handshake lines.
Sometimes
but,
there are.
You know,
Logistically, I mean, when you look at it, if you're going to make these requirements, and if this happens, you're going to provide security. Well, the security is not going to fend off 20,000 people at Thompson Bowling or 100,000 in Neyland Stadium for very long. So you can't say, well, hold the crowd back until we shake hands, and then we'll take them to the locker room. No, they're like, get them to the locker room as quick as possible.
right.
Definitely.
But when the horn blows and you're out on the middle of the field, or, say down on that end or something away from the thing, who's going to –
And you got to run all the way to the other end of the field, and you got the crowd rushing. So, who's
how many cops is it going to take to make an alleyway
According to what I'm reading here, there needs to be a barrier. So we're talking a lot of people here.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
Now, if you storm the field, let's put this in reality. If you storm the field, and the first offense would be 100,000. It used to be 50,000. Well, are you going to pay how much are you going to pay for all this security and all these new things? Maybe it might be best just say go on, and we'll pay the fine here.
That's another NIL deal.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing, if you're we know coaches and teams are focused, but 50,000 people moving towards the field do not sneak up on you. You've got a couple minutes warning to see that there are people massing, getting ready to rush the field.
Yeah.
Administration has a chance, but you got to have somebody who is watching to see what is going on and is coordinating with everybody else out there to say, we need you to do this, we need you to do this. We saw a couple times last year where there was nobody working to organize what you could see coming. What you could see coming at the Alabama game with Tennessee, what you could see coming in a couple of court rushing situations. You saw the fans were lined up for it, and the security was not ready for it.
Yeah. Well, if you got to deal with these numbers, what are you going to do? You're going to take everybody on the Knoxville police force and get them out there.
That's what I was
Crime's going to be rampant around Knoxville, in it.
Yeah.
Who's going to be watching the town when they're all out there at the football stadium?
Lined up around the field.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. Second offense, $250,000. It was $100,000, and the third one is $500,000. Used to be $250,000. Now, here's the deal: if the opposing team and the officials are off of the field and out of the way, you can avoid that penalty. You can avoid the penalty. I don't know how this is going to work, but the fans could then go onto the field. Now, what do? You make an announcement before the game. If you storm the field, we got to make sure the officials and the players are off, and then we'll play Rocky Top, and then you all can go on out to the field.
Someone be at the 50-yard line and say, all right, come on.
I don't know how that's going to work because when they storm, it's a spontaneous thing, isn't it? Huh?
Well,
I don't know.
The thing is, why would you storm the field other than to tear the goalpost down? Because there's nobody out there. The players are gone and everything else, so why am I going to jump down on the field?
Please refrain from storming the field until Elvis has left the building.
It don't make sense. Why would you want to storm the field?
Because you got about 5 or 6 drinks in you, and you say, hey, I got nothing. There you go. Yeah,
there's nobody. Half of them are sober that's out there on the field.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is, why would you storm the field? There's nobody there.
Well, if they sell beer down there, you'd storm it, wouldn't
you?
Yeah.
That'd be a new idea. Come on down the 50-yard line. We'll have
storm the field.
We'll have a beer stand ready for you at discounted prices. Come on.
We'll play Rocky Top, storm the field, and we'll serve beer right down there on the 50-yard line. We'll roll it out.
Not serve. Here, that's the backup plan. If everything goes wrong and they storm the field anyway, you got to be ready to roll the concessions out and charge $20 a beer to try to recoup some of that money you're getting ready to pay out to the conference.
That's right. They can make it recoup $100,000 real quick on that.
And then what is there a time limit on how long you can stay out there?
I don't know.
Well, anyway, that's going to be up to the schools.
Yeah.
The SEC's not going to have it. The schools will decide whether you can storm the field or not after the officials and opposing team
and
are
this
off.
is the next thing, though, because we've gotten into it already now with the conference. They're going to be official security is now on the radar as something that has to be maintained, making sure the officiating crew is taken care of and not subject to abuse or physical harm. But yet we saw this week an official and his family accosted in the airport by fans a day after the match. What do you want to do in that situation? Is that where we're really going, where you're going to have to provide these guys 24/7 security to get them in and out of these cities?
Yeah. I know last year in the baseball deal over here, we were talking about that a little bit earlier, there was one umpire, they were just on. They were on him the whole time. I guess it was over that confrontation at the plate last year with one of the Tennessee players.
Yeah.
And they were just absolutely on.
Was that the one where they checked his bat again to make sure it had the right sticker on it?
I mean, it was just, they were, the day I was over there the day after all that happened, they were throwing stuff out there on the field at the umpire and calling him name. I mean, he was on first base the day I was there.
Yeah.
And he was right in front of all the students that were in the stands on the first base line, and they were just absolutely wearing that guy out, you know. I didn't see any security around.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, did Tennessee, with that happening, did Tennessee do anything with adding security over there?
I didn't see anything. The only security I saw was some up in the stands where they thought maybe some of the kids drinking might be underage.
Yeah.
And they were, questioning them, maybe look. I didn't see any of them say, "Hey, lay off the umpire out there, quit throwing stuff out there," and I didn't see much of that. I don't know. But anyway, I'm like Coach Trail. I think it's a problem if you let them out there, regardless of whether you're going to be fined or not fined. When you let that many people out on the field or the court, you're going to be faced with liability problems if somebody gets hurt. Sure. I mean, you take that Alabama game last year. I mean, that was a massive humanity out there, and I'm surprised there wasn't any injuries or somebody getting trampled or, there's a million things that can happen.
Unfortunately, it might get to a point somewhere down the future. You know what to do at the soccer stadiums over in Europe?
Well,
they fence in the field, and they put a fence about 12 feet high.
I think there's rule is you can't go on the field, and that ought to be the end of it. You can't give kids and drunks and everybody else alternative things. If the people are off the field, are they off the field? I don't know. They started at that gate over there. I thought they was all gone. Well, here, you can't do that. Yeah. It's either this or this. This throwing up the air is bull crap.
Yeah, I never, I played in a great basketball state, and I never saw any court storming up there the whole time I played. Yeah. In our home gymnasium there, these the deal you wrap hoses up in, the circular thing that's got a handle on it. They put ropes on those, and then after the game was over with, or right before, they rolled that rope down through there, and they held it, and all the fans would go around it. I never saw anybody, in big games or whatever, come down on that floor. I don't know where all this got started, but it's really gotten to be a problem not only here but everywhere across the country.
What's happened is this, all right? They rush the field, but when they're running down to the court, what are they doing? They got their cell phone with them, and they're taking pictures and all that type of stuff. It's their 5 or 10 seconds of fame. They have to, I'm going to go rush the court, and I'm going to put it on, what do they call it, TikTok or whatever they call it.
Twitch or TikTok Twitter, Facebook, whatever.
I just think in football you ought to just say, no, on the field, it's over.
Yeah, or basketball or any of them.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break here.
Yeah.
We'll take a
timeout here, and when we return, the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment will be up. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensonTire.net. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. Wow. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment. And Marcus, I'll bring you back in here a little bit.
Am I the player of the week?
Yeah, well, good job.
Hey, do I get free supplies at Anderson Lumber Company now?
Well, I don't know about that.
I've got some.
We're going to take care of your lunch today.
Oh, look,
what a deal.
That's better. I get fed and I don't have to do yard work. I like that. Mike, I got to ask you though. They talked all about the fan storming and because that's become back as a big thing because it kind of petered off for a while and now it's a thing again. What are we going to do when the streakers come back?
Yeah.
We see it all the time. You see it on highlights in soccer in Europe. What are we going to do?
We just have to sit down with Ray and tell Ray you can't do that anymore. Okay? There comes a time that you just got to say, hey, I got to shut her down.
Yeah. You'd be surprised how fast he is in those cowboy boots.
I know. Hey, that tips it off. We go up. There's Ray. He's got the boots on.
Yeah.
Kick the butt today.
But it's going to be the next thing. I'm going to get on TikTok by running across the field, no clothes on.
Yeah. Yeah. Or running out of the tee.
No, we'll pay you.
Run out of the tee.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
We'll pay you, just don't do that.
I would take up there's my NIL right there. There will be a large collection to keep that from happening.
There was, Tony, there was some talk also down there at the meetings about a discussion of current legislation and proposed legislation to address recently gambling issues and roster transparency. How do you feel about that? Teams keeping their injuries quiet, prior to games. The pros,
Sure.
They list their injuries and so forth.
Right,
and who's going to play and not play on Saturday. Colleges, not so much.
The gambling aspect has infiltrated college sports to such a degree now that it's like following the pro sports. They're betting on everything, and you try to keep a separation, but it's tough. And so the big thing that you just mentioned, though, is the health of the players. And by trying to keep it quiet on the health, that way you can protect the game, to some aspect. But every other commercial you see on TV is a gambling commercial, and the baseball coach from Alabama lost his job because somehow he got affiliated with gambling.
And I'm fearful that there's going to be more of that. And I'm fearful that there's going to be a team or a player scandal here before too long. 38 out of 50 states, gambling's legal now.
Yeah.
And I never thought that I'd see it in college athletics.
But
it's here.
Yeah, well, wasn't that a gambling scandal with the head baseball coach at Alabama losing his job because of –
That's correct.
Yeah, I mean, so it's
and it was that's in Cincinnati. I mean, there's a system in place for monitoring that. The conferences have it, just like professional sports. The same sort of thing that it's looking for identities but there's ways around that sort of stuff, and the transfer even makes it worse because let's say the kid pitched 2 years ago with a team out in the Pac-12. And he's still buddies with so-and-so and knows something and makes a bet that's not even related anywhere near his conference or his teams. Yep. Does that count? Are they're not supposed to gamble at all? Okay, well, it becomes a real mess the more you get into it.
Well, the thing that compared to now and to yesteryear, we didn't have enough money to bet. Did you, Mike?
No, Lord, no. I was just trying to.
You're giving them this money on this NIL and all this stuff. They got money to do things out with, and we never had anybody that had any money.
We were just looking.
What if your NIL is also like, hey, what if you just miss a couple shots this game?
Oh yeah.
So just enough so you don't cover the spread. I'm not saying throw the game. You don't have to win by 16.
If you watch the pro basketball, that game the other night, the guy scores 42 points. Comes back in the next 2 days, he makes 10. Now something.
You talking about Jimmy Butler?
Yeah. I mean, he couldn't hit nothing out of the game. I mean, after wearing it out, he couldn't make nothing.
So instead of just in the past saying, well, you just had a bad day, now you're saying, well, was there something more than that?
I'm just saying,
that's the thought process.
If you're looking at gambling, let's look at it before we're talking right here. Let's look back through the decades. And so can you name me any good situations in pros or college where gambling has really been a good thing? No. I mean, we've seen Pete Rose get in trouble. He's out of the Hall of Fame. Shoeless Joe Jackson. And there's numerous other
Paul
guys.
Hornung.
Paul Hornung was involved with it.
For the athletes and teams, there is no example of a good situation.
No, none whatsoever. None.
But for the industry, for sports betting, if you're one of those industry, if you're one of the casinos, if you're one of the state agencies taking the tax cut off of it, well, sure there is. Yeah. There's all sorts of reasons.
Well, I mean, if as a player, I can bet for you. I got money. I'm gonna put some there. Yeah. I'll put it in where you win. And your name would never come up. And then when you go back and you slip $300 or $400 in your pocket, said you picked that up. I mean, and your name would never be. I mean, you can do it without even.
Sure.
Or let's take this scenario with gambling. Let's say that you're playing on a team, we've talked about this in the past, and there's 4 or 5 players on that team that's got big NIL deals. Your quarterbacks, your receivers, and so forth. And you're a lineman up there, and you bringing a whole lot in, and you got a chance right here to get you some extra money that you can't get through gambling.
Oh, yeah. You're not actually gambling. I'm just giving the money.
And what that player does, he doesn't do it. Maybe he calls his brother or he calls a friend of his to make that deal, that bet and all that. And it's like I said, right now we're at a stage where every other commercial is about gambling. Heck, we're building a casino just 30 miles away from us where we're located right now. Another one was in Bristol. It used to be just located in Indian-owned territories. Now, now it's all over the place.
The NCAA and the SEC is not going to make gambling go away.
No.
You know, they can make their rules to say, you know, if you
Because-
get involved in it and you get caught,
Yeah.
your career could be
Because
over.
they're profiting
Your
off
career
of it.
could
They're
be
profiting
over.
off of this.
Yeah.
But you're also going to get it, and we've already seen it from these online sports, the booking sites. They are incredibly cooperative and open because they stand to lose a lot if people don't believe that things are legit. If they start not believing, they believe tampering's going on, they're not going to place bets, and they're not. Those places don't make money, so they're incredibly helpful and proactive in trying to keep things like that from happening. It's just not going. But it's just not possible.
Yeah. Also, at the meetings, there was some discussion regarding the NIL. And again, when we talk about NIL and we talk about gambling, they kind of work together because the NCAA and the conferences are hampered because state legislatures have become involved, and they've got their laws within their states that say you can do this.
Yeah.
And some states have that law, and some states don't have that law, and there you go. With NIL deals, and I don't know how you.
And that
I don't know how
plays
you.
into-
I don't know how you police that. I don't know how you make it equal for everybody. I don't think it can be
You
equal.
can't.
For
No,
it can be
no,
equal.
no way.
And that plays in the recruiting aspect as well. Hey, come to my college here, all right? We're in a state that we allow NIL deals. And the other competing college, you know, they're in a state that doesn't. And so now that has a hand in, you know, in the recruitment of the players.
And the coaches, it's become a real issue with them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this NIL type money, but it's out. If it's in the state legislatures, you're not going to be able to do anything about that. It's got to go to the national level. Then, if you want to regulate it for everybody, it's got to go to the national level. Well, we kind of see how national politics work. You know, it may take a long time, you know, to get that worked out, but that's kind of the way it is right now. In order for it to get straightened out.
I still think that within 8 to 10 years, you're going to find at the major college level that going to college is going to be optional. Because right now, you know, it's moving to a point where they're not players, they're not student athletes. When have you heard the last time about so-and-so's he's getting this college degree or anything? You don't hear that stuff anymore. All right?
You don't even hear grades mentioned.
Grades or anything like that. I think they're going to end up being just employees of the university.
How many, let me ask you this on the other hand,
and
when you're talking about this, how many programs have you seen in the last 4 or 5 years that said, we've lost this player from academics?
Yeah.
None. Have you ever heard of a we've lost this player, this key player, or any player because he hadn't been going to class or he has none? I've not heard of any of that.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah. You
you used to hear it.
Oh, yeah.
Quite often back
Failed
in
out.
the day. Yeah.
He failed
And when they
out.
introduce the players
Flunked out.
before the games,
Yeah.
they usually list their name, position, their hometown, and their major at college. You don't see that anymore.
Major, they don't have a major.
Yeah, they don't.
They're
Because the
private.
guy's going to transfer 4 or 5
Privates.
different times.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way it's going to end up going.
Tony, we've talked about the SEC, but where does all this put Carson Newman that we're talking about right here on your level? I mean, what does it? What are you fighting?
Well, we're fighting guys that they end up having a good season. Now they want to look and transfer to a higher level school. But we found out through statistics over the last several years at the Division II level, only 17% of the players who go into the transfer portal end up going to a school that's going to offer them a scholarship or anything like that. And so I think at the Division II level, because it's not the major college, we don't, like I said, I kid around, we have an NIL deal at Carson Newman. You go to Bojangles and they'll give you a half off bacon, egg and cheese biscuit once a week. That's the extent of us. And so you don't see that very much at the Division II level. But the thing that we do here is that once a person declares, hey, I'm going to go in the transfer portal, we cut them off. We say, good luck, see you later, you're gone. And so we have some sort of control on it.
But your players at your level, they see all of this. They see all of this that's going on, do they not?
Yeah. And
I would think that would be part of the problem that you fight. Is that they see all of this that's going on.
That's right. We try to explain to them, and it's at a point where even at our level, we have a coach who checks the transfer portal every single day to see if any one of our players have entered it. he could have a bad day of practice. The coach could get on him. Maybe he didn't do good in school, and all of a sudden wants to go transfer out. And like we try to explain to our guys that at our level, people trying to move on to a higher level, it just doesn't happen. Probably the best running back in the SAC conference from Newberry, decided to transfer out and go to South Carolina. Well, right now he's listed as the third string running back at South Carolina. And so,
So he's gone from playing a major role to just another guy.
Yeah, just another guy. Yeah. So that's what we encounter at our level. It's a little bit more under control. But we've all been coaches here at some point in time. I mean, it's totally different now. Yeah. I think we've opened up Pandora's box, and you're not going to be able to shut it.
Yeah. Hey, it's time for a break, and when we return, it's Sports Headlines with Donnie Moore and the Tennessee Smoky Spotlight. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply.
Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093.
Hit a grand slam with Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union to win big on savings. On first, member managed funds account. On second, free spend account. On third, certificate accounts with competitive savings rates. Load your bases at tvacreditunion.com.
Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA. Must use e-statements for no fee option. Some restrictions may apply. Ask for details.
The Bluetick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Bluetick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Bluetick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service. For over 50 years and 3...
The other night.
Ran into it.
Yeah, ran right into it.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards and Donnie Moore. I'm going to turn it over to you for the final sports headlines of this season.
The final countdown for sports headlines. Just one more. This is show number 40. All right, let's talk about the NBA. In the opening game of the NBA Final, the Denver Nuggets bested the Miami Heat by 11, 104-93 in Denver. As center Bam Adebayo led the Heat with 26 points and 13 rebounds. Forward Jimmy Butler contributed 13 points.
That's
Ray.
your guy, Jimmy.
And Haywood Highsmith came off the bench to chip in 18. The victorious Nuggets were led by guard Jamal Murray with 26 points and center Nikola Jokic with a triple-double. 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 14 assists.
How is he not the MVP in the league?
I can't figure it.
He was MVP the previous 2 years.
Because he was the previous 2 years. You're exactly why you said, Tony. They don't want to give it to him 3 years in a row.
I mean, he just dominates.
He does. He sure does. Well, Game 2 is tomorrow in Ball Arena, Denver, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I couldn't figure it either, Tony.
Yeah.
He's dominant. He's a dominant player in the league.
He dominated when they played the Lakers.
Yep.
He's just not a big guy that stays underneath the basket. I mean, he'll go out there.
No, he plays everywhere.
Yeah, saw him hit the three-pointer
Shoots
during
threes.
the game. Yeah, I mean, so.
Gets out there, 7-footer.
Who is that?
Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the center there. I mean, he's such a talented player. Gosh.
Man, he is. You're right. Anyway, they don't give me a vote.
No.
Moving on to the National Hockey League, the Florida Panthers face the Vegas Golden Knights in the quest for the Stanley Cup tonight at 8 p.m. in Eastern on TNT. As always, it's a best-of-7 series, so buckle up.
Let me ask you this.
It's going to be a good one.
30 years ago, when they were talking about the NHL and Stanley Cup and all that, who brought up, the 1 year Las Vegas against Miami for the Stanley Cup?
You wouldn't have heard about these two
Was that something that they talked about?
You might have heard about. No, you wouldn't. You would have heard about the New York Rangers and the Montreal Canadiens or something like that.
And it would be on ABC once, maybe 3 times in a year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For World of Sports on Sunday afternoon.
Now you can see it every night.
I think I read that it's been 20 years since a Canadian team has been in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, you might see the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, but
New York Rangers.
Vegas. When was the last time Vegas was at?
Vegas, and they're in the
Miami.
Lord Stanley's Cup now. Los Angeles Angels third baseman Anthony Rendon will not face charges stemming from an incident in which he grabbed a fan's shirt during a game earlier this season. The incident occurred on March 30th after a 2-1 loss to the Oakland Athletics. The Oakland Police Department has stated that the case has been closed because the victim never stepped up to identify himself while the investigation was open.
Okay.
So,
I mean, did he go into the stands?
He got
or
bought off.
He reached through a fence and grabbed this guy's shirt because they were talking to each other.
Yeah.
And the fan said something that Rendon didn't like.
Yeah.
And Rendon reached through the fence and grabbed his shirt and
Yeah.
yanked him into the fence. Now, the reason this guy didn't step up and identify himself, do you think he might have been paid off or threatened? Yeah, Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I think that was a possibility.
No doubt about it. I mean, somebody's going to do something like that with that guy's money.
Yeah.
Here's your $5,000 there.
Well, sure.
Go away. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's not going to be charged.
Well,
Case settled.
Settled out of court, right?
Right. Settled out of court.
You better believe it. Now, here's an interesting article. Major League Baseball teams with the cheapest average ticket prices. Okay, they are
Pittsburgh,
the San Francisco Giants, New York Yankees, and the Los Angeles Angels. You know what the cheapest average ticket price is? $5.
What?
$5 to get into a Major League Baseball game. Now, they might be where you'd have to have binoculars to see the action.
Well, did you see it in the paper the other day for that pro basketball game? Seats down there behind the players.
No.
29,500 apiece.
Okay, these are. We're talking about
29,000.
Major League Baseball right here. Cheapest average ticket price $5. Giants, Yankees, Angels. Now, here are the most expensive average cheapest ticket price.
Okay.
Okay. You think about
Most
that.
expensive
The most expensive, averaged, cheapest ticket price was $27. Okay, those are the Dodgers, Cleveland Guardians, and there's $25.
Cleveland Guardians.
Followed by the Boston Red Sox at $25. Okay, that's the most expensive, average, cheapest ticket price.
You mentioned a lot of contradiction type of words.
Well,
average, cheapest.
Average, cheapest ticket price. Average, cheapest ticket price.
Well, it's all tiered. So, I mean, if you want to get a standing room ticket like Cincinnati, I think it's been a while since I've been. I think it was like $750. If you wanted to go in the third inning and
be in the outfield and watch the
basically to get I'm going to walk around the ballpark and watch some of the game type of ticket.
Yeah.
Now,
but some of the ballparks have those and some don't. And,
yes.
And you can look at the stands now and see who does and who doesn't, because you can have a game at the same time in one city with nobody there, and another city you flip that game on and you've got people everywhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now here's of all the 30 teams, the average price for the cheapest tickets in Major League Baseball is $11.
Not a bad deal.
Overall.
I didn't realize that.
That's a pretty good deal.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to get a hot dog in Dodger Stadium,
$20.
It's about $20.
Little League game last night. It was only $2 here at Maryville Little League.
There you go.
There you go. That was a great
deal.
deal.
Get you a dog.
That was a great deal. I got two.
And a beer at Dodger Stadium is about $20 too. So $40 for a
Little League doesn't have
that.
Yeah, that was not the Little League.
What's the best seats cost?
I didn't even try to
depends on your
research
definition
that.
of best. Most expensive are going to be in those suites.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. Well, like his teammate Joseph Newgarden did after winning the Indy 500 last weekend for Team Penske, Ryan Blaney held off William Byron to take the checkered flag and then rescheduled Coca-Cola 600 Monday at Charlotte Motor Speedway and went into the crowd to celebrate his victory. He said, I did it because Joseph did it.
Yeah, we talk about crowd control. They just went into the crowd.
Yeah, they just opened the gate and went up
pretty
in the
good.
crowd.
I've never seen that in all my years at the Indianapolis 500.
They just opened the gate up and he ran right in.
He did. Just opened the gate and here he went.
Right
up
into
in
the crowd. Never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it, and the crowd loved it. It was a great.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Yeah, that's one way to stop them from storming the track.
Yeah.
That's it. Just go up in the crowd.
I need to ask you a question. Did you almost get hit by that wheel that flew over?
No,
that
wheel,
was something.
That wheel
that
went
was down
over
on start-finish line.
It went over the turn 2 wall.
Yeah.
And it went over, I think, 200 yards outside the track. It hit a woman's car.
Hit a car.
This is a great story. It hit a woman's car. Now, normally there's just camping trailers and cars parked out there. It's right beside the grandstand and the suites. Went on down into the golf course area down here is where it ended up. But anyway, Doug Bowles, the president of Speedway, got wind of it right before the end of the race, got a hold of the lady that owned that car, went and got her, took her to the start-finish line, had her kiss the bricks.
Yep.
Had her gone up where the winners were. Then he took her home.
Really?
Took her back home to her house because they hauled her car away.
That's what they
hauled her car away.
I was wondering where you were going with
and
this.
Wait a minute. Roger Penske then, on Tuesday of this week, announced that he was buying that gal a brand new car.
Wow.
That's cool.
How about
But
that?
I was saying, imagine if that wheel went into the stands.
That'd been a bad deal.
Would.
And listen, those wheels are on tethers, but there was a failure for some reason because they are put on
Tether
there to where they don't come off.
Yeah.
They stay on the car.
Wow.
And that tether broke and that wheel came off.
Yeah,
and,
it went over the fence over the stand. I mean,
one year back in the 70s or early 80s, they had a wheel come off up on the fourth turn, got into the stands. They killed 1 or 2 people up there.
I remembered because that's why I brought that up because and then after that they got the fencing to be higher and all that.
Yeah, well, that's a high fence over there, but it still got over it.
Yeah, wow, that was something else.
Well, this was Blaney's first win since the Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona in August of 2021. He had gone 59 races without a win. Byron finished second, followed by Martin Truex Jr., Bubba Wallace, and Tyler Reddick. It's the first time, this is the first time Team Penske has swept the Indy-Charlotte doubleheader.
Roger needs some more money.
He does. This weekend, the
Pay for
boys.
that car.
This weekend, the boys of NASCAR are racing in Madison, Illinois, at the Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Where's Madison, Illinois?
Madison, Illinois. I don't know. Somewhere in Illinois.
Walked right into that
Somewhere
one.
up there.
Walked right
Google
into
it.
that one.
I'm not sure which
It's
of y'all feel
last
worse.
year. It's a new raceway. Last year was the first year of its
I was
existence.
just trying to see where's Madison? Is it near
If you're
Chicago,
going-
St. Louis?
If you're going, Tony, you have to Google it.
Yeah, you do.
I'll find that out.
I don't know who
All
I
right.
feel the worst for in this exchange. Mike?
I lost on that one there.
On this day, June 3rd, 1932, future Hall of Famer Lou Gehrig was the first to hit 4 consecutive home runs in a major league game. That game, New York Yankees beat Philadelphia Athletics 20-13 at the Athletics' home at Shibe Park.
Pitcher's duel.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
In 1937, Josh Gibson hits a home run just 2 feet below the roof of Yankee Stadium.
Wow.
Now, you talk
Yeah,
about
I
a
remember
mammoth
that, yeah,
blast.
yeah.
It was measured at 580 feet.
Wow. Wow.
That was a blast. Woohoo! In 1980, the New York Mets drafted Darryl Strawberry, #1 in the draft, at just 18 years of age.
Great player. Too much stuff ended up in his nose.
Yeah. Yeah.
But great
He
player.
had demons, didn't he?
He certainly did, but he was
He was a player.
He was a player, absolutely.
He sure was. And in 1989, the Astros beat the Dodgers 5-4 in 22 innings. That game lasted 7 hours, 14 minutes, and 9 seconds.
Was that a night game? Did finish at about,
I don't know
3,
whether
4
it
in the
was
morning?
or not, but it must. It was.
It could have
long.
been night and day.
It may started in the
That's
daytime
right.
and ended
Yeah,
up the
they
next
did.
morning, I think. Some deaths that happened on this day, June 3rd, 2013.
Okay, we're all here. I'll take
Deacon
it.
Jones at
Oh,
73. Deacon Jones, what a player.
Great player. Great player.
What a
for the Rams.
player. In 2016, died on this day Muhammad Ali at the age of 74. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Greatest ever. Greatest
Muhammad Ali. And in 2020, John Majors.
Yep.
ever.
John Majors, at the age of 85, passed away on this day.
I tell you, just a side note, I remember, I think probably about 2 years before that, Coach Hersburn set up a lunch with me, Coach Hersburn, and Coach Majors. That was really, really special.
Yep. That's once in a lifetime deal.
I
right
paid
there,
for it.
wasn't it?
You know, Coach Hersburn wasn't going to pay for it. I know. I paid for it.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Well, that's all for this week's sports headlines. Now let's bring the Tennessee Smokies spotlight into focus for one last time. Back to you, Gunner.
Thanks, Donnie. This past Sunday, Tennessee and Joseph Newgarden won the 107th Indianapolis 500. Over 300,000 people were in attendance to witness the win. And Donnie, it was only been 2 Tennessee drivers compete in the Indianapolis 500.
Wow.
Joseph and of course Peter Crisp out of Knoxville here.
Crisp.
He competed in the 1920s and the early 1930s, and of course he lost his life there in 1934 along with a Roddy mechanic. His best finish was 8th.
You and I both have seen his tombstone.
Yeah, his rookie year. But Joseph won after 12 tries, and he's won the IndyCar championship, the yearly championship, but never won the race. And so now I guess he can call it a complete career because all of them want to win the 500. It kind of puts the cap on the career. But for Ron Trapinski, it was his 19th 500 win at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, his first coming in 1972. And like a lot of Indianapolis 500s, there's controversy because they red flagged the race with 2 laps to go. And Marcus Ericsson, Chip Ganassi's driver, was ahead. Yeah. I was shocked. I've been to almost 50-some Indianapolis 500s. I've never in my life seen them stop the race with 2 laps to go with a red flag because it takes normally 3, 4, 5 laps for them to get their tires warmed up and complete. And on the other red flags they had 3 red flags last Sunday. On the other 2, they ran maybe 4, 5, 6 laps before they restarted. So it was an absolute shock to me. And, of course, from a fan standpoint, it made it more exciting. And fans want to see the race end under a green flag. But that hadn't always been the case. Dario Franchini's won 3 Indianapolis 500s, all 3 of them under the yellow. He never won a 500 under the green, and Tony Kanaan won his 500 under the yellow, and I can go on and on. But it was an absolute shock. We just kind of looked at each other going, I cannot believe this is happening. Of course, Roger Penske owns the track. This is his driver. So a lot of people were saying, well, what's going on here? And if you're in second place on a restart, you're in a better position than first. You don't want to be in first on a restart because they'll draft that car. It was a done deal that race wasn't going to go to Marcus Ericsson because they'll draft that second place car will draft. It's just a matter of where he wants to take him. And he took him on the right after he got off of the second turn, which surprised me a little bit because he had to hold him off all the way back around. And when he came down that main straightaway, he just went back and forth like a dragon. There's no way that Marcus Ericsson could have gotten
Didn't
around
have
him
a shot
at
at passing him, did he?
But it was a little bit surprising that they did that. But it was, from a crowd standpoint, it was a winner. Because all those people were there. That place was almost sold out. I think it was pretty much sold out. There was no seats up on the third and fourth turn where I was at or down the main straightaway. So they got what they came to see, an exciting race and a lot of lead changes, and it looked like certain drivers were going to win. It looked like Alex Palou and Renus VK was going to win. Then they hit each other in the pits, and it ruined their day. And then you had Pato Award and Felix Rosenquist. Pato Award's got fresh tires with, 15 laps to go, and he gets in the third turn wall, and it puts him out. And so you had a lot of excitement that went on during the day, and then you had A.J. Foyt. Santino Ferrucci was his driver. They asked A.J., Coach Trail, who's driving for you this year? And he goes, the guy with the funny name and the kinky hairdo. And he couldn't even pronounce the guy's name, and he finished third. He had a chance. And on the restart, when they came in, they had him listed second. And then all of a sudden, they moved Newgarden to second and Ferrucci to third. And, of course, that's all history. But, Foyt's guy might have won the race if they'd have kept him in the second position on the restart. But total purse, $17 million for the Indianapolis 500, the most they've ever given out. The winner got $3 million out of that cut. I tell you what, Graham Rahal, Donnie, what a deal he had there.
I agree, Mike.
He qualified. He got bumped from the field, was out. Stephon Wilson crashed his car in a practice station right after the day after, I think, Carb Day was over, or Tuesday after it was over, and he was not able to run. So they moved Graham Rahal into Stephon Wilson's car. Well, that was a big deal because Stephon Wilson ran Chevrolets, and Rahal ran Hondas. And he had to get special permission to run a Chevrolet. Well, they thought everything was good, and they couldn't get his car started on race day.
Was that the one that
he just sat there and sat there and sat there? They finally got him started. After all this has taken place, they finally got him started. He was one lap down. He ran a heck of a race, had worked himself up to 17th or 18th place, and then he was involved in the crash that stopped the race with a couple of laps to go. So imagine that. You get bumped, and you can't get your car started, and then you crash, and it's all over. I'm telling you what.
That's the thing. How can you not get your car started?
You would think. Battery. It was the battery. It was the electrical deal in the car. And they have them start those cars 2 or 3 times the morning of the race.
Oh, yeah. And
so, it's highly unusual, but it happens every once in a while, and it happened to him. Yeah. So, but, it was Donnie Moore, your impressions.
I was just – I couldn't take my eyes off of it, Mike. It was a great race, I thought. And those drivers were just – they were trying so hard to get where they needed to be and get in position to win that race in the last few laps right there, that they just, they were giving it everything they had in the last few laps, and then they got too close sometimes and got into each other and made those red flags come out.
I was up on turn 4, and on that last restart, I'm telling you right now, I looked at the guy I was with. I said, they'll never get to the first turn. Those guys that were back to the back in the middle, they had jumped that restart. Before that green flag even came out, they were passing people coming out of the fourth turn.
You're
I
right.
mean, there was no way they were going to get through there. And then, of course, they had the accident. But, you know, it wasn't a sure thing for Newgarden because they could have had a restart and had an incident before he went around Marcus Erickson, and that would have been the end of the deal.
Yeah,
but
you're right.
You got to feel a little bit for Erickson. He was pretty upset after it was over with. Coach
He
Trail.
was.
He just said, well, you know, heck, fire, you know. You got 2 laps left here. How are you going to get a race started? Because they went around once with the pace car, and then they let him loose.
Yeah.
You know, and he thought he had the race won,
Yeah.
see. But it was kind of a you had to feel for him.
Well, why
but,
did they get the red flag 2 laps to go?
Well, they just I've never seen anything like it. They just threw it, and there's debris out there.
Yeah,
I mean,
you have to get that debris cleaned up.
They can't get that debris in their tires and so forth, and that little carbon pieces they're everywhere. And that was the reason for the other flags too.
So who owns the track?
Roger Penske owns the whole track.
And which car won? Who owns?
Roger Penske car won. Yeah.
Just answered your question.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'll tell you, for anyone that hadn't been to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I've been there since 1960. I have never in my life seen a cleaner, more immaculate racetrack in my life. Greenest grass. I mean, I in the past, I'd see people throwing their beer cans and their garbage. It's so clean that people are putting their dang garbage in bags and putting them in trash cans. I mean, he's made that place so immaculate and built it up so big. I mean, they've got a BMW building up there on the 3rd turn now, where BMW, you know, tests their cars on the road course. It's a whole facility.
Are fans able to get and watch the race from the inside of the track?
Yeah, they've built. That's a good question.
Yeah.
They have built these mounds, these berms.
Yeah.
They call them berms, all down the inside on the backstretch, and in the 1st turn and the 4th turn. And you can bring your families in there. That you cannot have any alcohol.
Right.
They're a family deal. You bring your blanket in there, and your.
I thought I saw that. I wasn't sure exactly.
Your kids, and you sit up there on them berms, and you can see the back stretch, and it's a cheaper ticket, to get in there on the infield.
For some reason, I was thinking it was, when I first saw it, it was outside the track, and for people who couldn't get inside, they had that. But that's really kind of.
And then the kids in the past have been kind of a problem.
Yeah.
But when they'd let them go all over the track, and there'd be things go on in the snake pit, they called it. Used to be down the 1st turn, and it was a tough deal. And then they started spreading around all over the track. Well, they decided, Penske and the owners decided, hey, we need to control this. So they put them up there in the 3rd turn and put a big concert deal in there. And those kids, they call it the snake pit, they just buy a ticket to go in there and party. So they've got them all in one area up there. They got it all controlled. They're not interfering with anybody. They're making money off them kids, and them kids are happy.
Yeah.
They don't care who wins the race. They just in there for party.
In there for the party.
I mean, that's a smart deal.
Now, when you're saying kids, you're not talking about 12-year-old kids.
No, I'm talking about high school kids, college kids.
How much does a good ticket cost there?
I'm on the 4th turn, and they've been really good about not raising their ticket prices. My ticket's $111 up there for my ticket price.
Yeah.
But when I first started going, I sat in the oldest grandstand that they built in 1909, but it was between turns 1 and 2, grandstand D, old wooden stand with a roof.
Yeah.
My ticket was $10.
Really?
That's when I was in high school.
But bathroom facilities weren't very good there.
No, they were not very good. He's improved. He's improved all of that, and it's a wonderful facility and a place to go. The museum's a great place, and parade. It's a
great event.
I would recommend if you've never seen it, get you a ticket and go. And I think tickets, Coach Trail, are going to get harder and harder. He's done such a magnificent job promoting and so forth. Tony Kanaan got off the backstretch onto the infield, tore up about 50 feet of grass in there. As a promotion, Doug Bowles, who was instrumental in getting this other lady her car, he put Tony Kanaan back there on the backstretch and told him he had to repair that 50 feet of infield he tore up. So they had him on a lawnmower, repairing that. And he had retired, and he says, well, I'm retired. I don't have the money to fix this anymore. I'm back here, and I'm going to repair it myself. Yeah, he got on the infield with his car and just tore up a bunch of grass back here on the infield. But
he had to fix it.
Yeah. It was a great promotion. Yeah. Hey, it's time for a break, and when we return, the panel presents the Shelter Insurance Bowl Prediction segment. You're listening to the Goatee Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at StevensonTire.net.
Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app, plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today: call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the panel's Shelter Insurance Bowl Prediction segment. And before we get into the bowl prediction segment, I want to thank everyone that has made this broadcast to go forward for another year. The sports program will be completing its 45th year, Donnie?
45th year.
45th year on the year at the conclusion of this show. So I want to say a special thanks to Aaron Ishmael at Loud Media and Brian Johnston at Goatees and the Blue Tick Tavern for hosting us, and all our sponsors and all the coaches and players that commit to coming up here on Saturday mornings and making this show special, and to all our listeners who join us each Saturday morning during the year, and of course to all of the panelists that's on this show: Donnie Moore, Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Troy Provo-Heron, and Coach Ray Trail, and of course Tony Aruli is on here quite a bit during the year, and all the other guests that we've had. But a tremendous amount of work goes into this broadcast, so hats off to our weekly crew. And Donnie Moore, if I left anybody out, I'm bad about leaving people out.
You know, I don't think so.
Okay.
You know, we have other people that join us from time to time, but you know, all of our sports page family, we just like to say thank you, and hopefully we'll be back here next season and for year number 46.
Yeah, and I want to announce that we will take a short summer recess, and then hopefully we will return to the airways again in August to kick off our shows for a 46th year, and we certainly look forward to that when the time comes.
We do.
I failed to mention on the Tennessee driver, Joseph Newgard, Coach Trelli only led 5 laps out of 200 laps. Johnny Rutherford used to say, "You can have all the rest of them, just give me that last lap." That's all I care about. But that was pretty amazing. And in the first 90 laps, there was no incidents. And I mean, they had caution free for 90 laps. And
Clean laps.
Man, we're going to have an early supper here, boy. This baby's going to be over pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then all heck.
And then all of a sudden you saw wheels flying over, and all that stuff.
All heck broke out, and you know, that's the way it went. But it was a good day. Also, another mention: if you go, you're going to have to walk, Tony Aruli.
What?
You got to walk. If you go
walk.
to the Indy 500, you got to walk. Parking's a tough deal up there.
You just can't drop you off out in front.
I see all these people that go, and they're sitting in line, and I'm going, I know they're sitting in line, and I know they have no clue where they're going because, the only place you can park is basically in somebody's front yard.
Yeah.
And because the track's in an older.
So how far of a walk did you have?
Well, on carb day, we walked 4.5 miles total. That's all around the track and back. And on race day, I walked from the car. We parked in a private or in a neighborhood, walked 1.5 miles to the track, and then we got me and the people I'm with, my cousins, we have a tradition where we walk around the track, and so it's 3 miles plus around the track. We just kind of take our time, and then you walk 1.5 miles back to the car. But
what do you think, Ray? We're watching it on TV, right?
Yeah. But anyway, it's all a great experience. I guess when you look back at it, you got to watch Coach Trail, the Super Bowl and Kentucky Derby and the Masters and all those great events, the NCAA basketball tournament. You can go on, and everybody's going, I'd like to see that one time in my lifetime. I think you can rank the Indy 500 right up there.
Sure.
A lot of people. It's on their wish list. I'd just like to see it one time.
And you mentioning all those different events, it's kind of good getting out of this COVID period.
Oh, yeah. People were ready for that.
Yes. I mean, you could just tell we're just wanting to get back to normal. And being part of being back to normal is going to these events where you don't have to go through a mask and doing all the dang on protocols that you have to have, and
social distancing.
Social distancing. We never really social distanced.
The first year they had COVID, they didn't allow anybody in the 500. Of course, that was the way with a lot of sports events, like Kentucky Derby and everything else. And these people, they thought, a lot of people thought, well, he's going to be strapped for money. I mean, he just bought the Speedway off of Tony Hallman and his family, and what's going to happen? Or Tony George and his family, not Tony Holman. He was the grandson, but of the original owner, Tony Holman. But anyway, the people up there and people that went to the race thought, well, could this be the end of the race? The fact that he's bought this and they've lost all this money, and people were writing in saying, hey, can I donate money? That you've lost this. I said, I don't need it. I don't need the money. I appreciate you telling me. I mean, here's a man that's got billions. Hey, listen, he spent $50 million last year on that place. I mean, it's unbelievable what this man has done for this sports facility.
Sure.
And the fact that it's not taking anybody's taxpayers' money. It's all a private endeavor. It's just an amazing story that the track can last from 1911 all the way to now with no asking of taxpayers' money whatsoever. There's not a sporting event in the world.
No, there is not.
That the taxpayers aren't paying for stadiums and whatever.
That's true. So, tickets and everything.
And they've tried to keep the tickets down to where everybody can. It's sort of like UT football.
Yeah.
Those people have handed down their tickets for years. They just renew them, and it started off that their fathers took them, and then they grow up and they take their kids, and then their kids grow up, and those tickets have stayed in the family forever. And they say, well, we've always sat right here on the Turner. We've always sat right across from the pits. This is where we've sat since 1950 or 1960, and it's a wonderful.
It's a family thing.
Yes, it's like the UT football, how they feel over there. Yeah. They just go. And anyhow.
And the whole family has memories.
Yes.
And
they're not always about
pass them down.
Yeah. I could write a book on memories I've had
I'm
through
sure
the years.
You can.
Meeting drivers and seeing different things and talking to people that I didn't know and just.
And who knows? You might just do that.
Yeah. And you can get a little bit of that right here in Tennessee. If you go down to the Music City Grand Prix down in Nashville, you can. Drivers are accessible down there, and it's got to be a pretty good event, and it's right here. Now you got a Tennessee driver that won the 500, so that becomes a little bit bigger event than it was. And it'll be held the 1st of August down there. Hey, let's have a little fun here. Let's look back on the year we've had here, and maybe the highlight for each one of you, real quick here. My highlight, of course, was Ray Trail putting his cigar in my drink and me drinking that Coke. That was the worst Coke I've ever had. But other than that, Donnie, can you remember a highlight that you had during the year, thinking back, 40 shows?
I guess the highlight of my event is just seeing all these great high school athletes that we've had come through this show.
Yeah.
Because they're the best. they're the best in the state, right here in Blount County. And so we've interviewed them, and especially the time that we got to interviewing the best of the best over at the Clayton Center. We've had a great year with them, and getting to interview them and talk to them here on this show week after week after week, I think has been the highlight of my shows.
Yeah, Coach Trail.
Oh, I think the highlight of mine is just meeting all these kids, just like you talked about, and the people, and all the people that come with them, their mothers, their fathers. You know, it's a great experience, because just like we do all the time, we look back and we see where they've done this and they've done that, and you know, it makes you feel proud that maybe you said something that motivated them to do this at some point.
Very good. Marcus?
Well, you know, I enjoy all of it. I enjoy the surprise every morning, finding out who's going to come in, who we're going to talk to.
Who's going to be here and who's not going to be here.
Never a dull moment.
Sometimes our guest confirmations come a little bit late in the day. And, you know, I'm going to say I really enjoyed the Clayton Center, the backstage for the award show, because I think maybe some people expected us to be out front, but that really wasn't what we do so much. And being in the back and just we had kid after kid, and every one of them I wanted to be like, when you spend 10 minutes, and we had like 2 minutes to talk to them.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun to me. I wish we could have made that show last a little bit longer, but everybody had to go to bed that night.
Yeah, that's true. Tony, really your thoughts? You spent quite a bit of time on the show this year.
I mean, again, I appreciate the opportunity to come here and being around good friends and just talking sports. And, you know, I'm still pretty active as being a college coach, and just being able to kind of break away from it and talking sports and meeting the young men and women that are in the high school and the college the high school coaches around here. Just being able to go through a show, and just glad that we haven't been taken off the air because of something Ray has said or may not have said. So that, to me, I consider that as one of the highlights of everything.
Victory.
And we're still here. And, you know, as a person, you know, the show's been going on for 46 years. I remember being on one of the very first shows when I was a player at Maryville College, and being at Coach Hersburn's old workout center that he had over there, and being on the show, and just seeing now how a lot of people who've been here for many years, how you guys have done a great job keeping the show going together. So I'm just glad that you keep inviting me here.
Yeah. Well, Donnie Moore, been good working with everybody. I think
sure
it's been
Mike.
A successful year, and let's blow the whistle for the last time until August, huh? Hey, that'll do it for today's edition of the Goatee Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael at Loud Media, our host, the Blue Tick Tavern, and all our sponsors. For Donnie Moore, Ray Trail, Marcus Fitzsimmons, Troy Provo Heron, and Brian Johnston at Goatees. Until August, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
And that's the final whistle. Join us again next Saturday for the Goatee Sports Page. The best in local sports since